I'm the scat man. Yo do do do. Skimmy dimmy ding yo do do do. Yo do do ba 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 do. Ba 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 do. Ba ba ba.
Boom! Western Conference Finals, day one. Puck props presented by Bet99. Josh Inglis, Carlo Colaiacovo. Your show today, listening to it as I always do on 10:50 a.m. You and Aaron, great stuff.
Thanks, buddy.
Gerard Gallant on, good stuff. Nice of you to ask him if he was going to coach, and no one's really been ringing the phone, which is obviously crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron Gauntz is a great listen, too. Is that who it is? That's
Cammy Gauntz, yeah. Good guy.
He's incredible. He had some good looks. I do hope his look for Carolina backfires. And I think you do too. The confidence that the favorites have going into both conference finals in Carolina, in Colorado. Was talking with Andy yesterday. You could go to Bet99. You can bet Colorado, Carolina final at -110, which is crazy. Do we really think that Colorado, even with their injuries, and Carolina, with all that rest, are just going to skate into the finals in 6 or fewer?
No, I don't. I mean, I think I've shared this with you before, but I'm one round away from looking like a genius.
Perfect bracket?
Well, my playoff final prediction before the playoffs started was Montreal, Vegas. So there's no reason why I'm going to back off of it. And I can understand, or I can see why people can easily decide with Carolina and Colorado because they've looked like two dominant teams that nobody can touch.
16-1.
But it's the final 4 teams remaining. How can you sit there and just be so confident that a team like Montreal is just going to roll over against a team like Carolina, and why Vegas can't play with a bigger chip on their shoulder and give the biggest middle finger to the league and try to win this series?
So do you think that Torts situation, not shaking hands, not letting the media in after the Braden McNabb hit, that was the reason why he did it, he said, and now it cost him 6 digits and a second-round pick. Do you think that was Torts playing 4D chess to motivate the boys?
I don't know if he was playing 4D chess. I just think that was Torts' reaction in the moment, saying, all right, well, if you guys are going to take it out on us, then we're going to operate, in our own way. I mean, Gerard Gallant said it this morning, like, even in his experience working with Vegas, they're just an organization that just doesn't care what anybody else thinks. They operate the way they want to operate. And at some points it becomes ruthless and controversial. But in saying that, I'm not saying that what they did was right. I thought it was absolutely dumb. I mean, it was
second round pick's tough.
Well, it's a tough fine, a tough, penalty to absorb, especially when you don't have much draft capital to work with because you've traded it all away to build this team. But, you look at the Barrie Colts in the OHL. Remember when there was that clip that went viral of the coach and Aitchison, the top player, after they beat Brantford, the best team in the league, coming back 3-1 in that series in Game 7, and they went full Marshawn Lynch. Is like, no one cares, work harder on every answer. Well, look what it did for them in the finals. It just created bad karma. They get swept, right? So,
but they apologized after.
No, they did, and I think they owned up to it. And again, they showed some accountability there. But again, for Vegas, why I didn't agree with that is that there's no need to bring this extra added attention to yourself in this time of the playoffs. They already have the attention with the whole Bruce Cassidy thing. Now they have this position that they took with the media. I just think that Vegas should just be focused on playing hockey, and that's what they want to focus on, which is why they do these things that they do, but it just brings extra negative attention to themselves.
All right. Now, I do want to get a couple of your thoughts before we get to my actual picks, because you have been a Vegas backer from the beginning. I was opposed substantially into the playoffs. I thought the Torts move from not getting off of Carter Hart it could have been egregious and it could have cost them the series. But in the same vein that Montreal didn't back away from Dobish, 3 goals in the first, now you create a trust within your goalies. On the other side in Colorado, old Wedgwood is like game 58 of the year. Last year, he played like 27 games. He didn't even start game 5 of that series. Where do you put the goaltending edge in this series? And if it is Vegas, how far do you think it is?
I mean, I don't think there really is an edge in this series. These are 2 unproven goaltenders in the playoffs, right? And I think you look at the 4 goalies that are remaining, all of them fit in that category, unproven, right? Is Freddie the most proven?
Well,
yeah, just because he's got a bigger track record, but I could make that argument for Dobish as him being the most proven. He just won 2 game 7s on the road in the playoffs. So if I was to give an edge to anybody right now, I'm giving it to Jakub Dobish. I mean, just look at his record since early March. The guy barely loses back-to-back, and he's like, what, 19 and 3? I don't know. It's just, for me, he's been the most impressive one. Carter Hart hasn't been like hasn't been a difference maker type of goaltender, but he's been good enough, and that's what the Knights have needed. That's all they've needed, is just good enough. And I kind of feel like we're heading into an era of goaltending where, and this year's a perfect example with the guys left, where you don't need elite goaltending to win. You can have an elite goaltending performance, right? Any one of these guys can have one of those games. I mean, Dobish has had them. Wedgie and Wedgie was splitting the series with Minnesota. So has he had that elite performance? I mean, you could make a case for Anderson because he's got those numbers, but I mean, look at the teams he played. Like it almost feels like it's a false narrative that's being created, because Ottawa wasn't very good at scoring, and Philadelphia obviously had a hard time scoring too. And again, he's insulated because of the team he plays, the team that plays in front of him in Carolina. But I mean, do you trust them? We'll find out.
Do you think the Habs have had the toughest run out of all 4 teams in the conference finals?
Of course,
by far.
They've played the most amount of games, right? 14 games.
But Tampa Bay and Buffalo were 2 of the 3 highest rated people in the East.
Right. So Buffalo had the 2nd best record in the league, and Tampa was recognized as one of the best teams in the league.
Odds makers love Tampa Bay. They love Tampa Bay. First, I don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how can you?
Can we knock Minnesota down a little notch and say, like, that's here, like, when you're skipping goalies, when you have 9-6 in game 1 or whatever it was, when your number 2 center is Daniel Yurov, because like
I think ultimately what caught up to Minnesota was the lack of depth.
Quinn Hughes 34 minutes a night.
The lack of depth. Yeah, I mean, like they have superstar talent in Kaprizov and Hughes. They've got, I wouldn't say elite goaltending, but fairly close to it in both guys. I just think they couldn't match what Colorado was throwing at them through the length of their lineup, and it caught up to them.
Agreed. So you did touch on the goalie situation and how the landscape's changing. Andy and I were talking about it. He coined the same thing maybe 2 years ago, saying that they're like, it's the running back position of the NFL, right? It's now a position by committee.
It's true. Great comparison.
I know. I fucking hate when I say it, but it's someone else saying it. So, okay, what's the cap right now? Like, what's the team number? 100 and is it 100?
I don't know if it's gotten there yet,
but it will get to about 100.
Yeah, in 2 years, I think it's going to get to 105. I think it's going to be 92 next year.
Okay, so let's just say your cap's $100 million. And you get free reign right now when you're signing goaltenders. What percent of that would you allocate right now to your goaltending? 10%? 10 to 13?
Well, okay, so The cap percentage that the Habs have right now is 2%
for their goaltenders.
for their goaltenders. Yeah, well, 'cause
Wow,
you got
10%
Dobish,
crazy.
you got Dobish at 965, and you got Fowler at 923. Now,
That's nuts.
this is a rare example. They're going with two
Yeah, I
rookie
know that.
goaltenders. So if you say you want to allocate $5 million to your goalie,
That's
fine.
nothing.
It's 5% of your cap.
I know, but that's nothing, right? Like that will put you in a good spot, but like you can't go sign a goalie.
Well, here's the thing. I think what the league is transitioning to as well is tandem goaltenders.
That's what I
Right?
mean. So within those two positions, how much
Yeah.
do you really want to spend? 10% seems like it's a lot.
Well, 10% seems reasonable, right?
It
Because
does.
you can get two really good guys. Either one's making 6 and one's making 4, or they both make 5, or one's making 7, one's making 3. Like, you don't want a Shesterkin where you gotta pay him $11 million and count on him to play 70 games. Right? I think gone are those days where you can ask a guy to play that. And I think you're gonna see maybe Winnipeg look at that too with Hellebuck, where it's like, we know we've got a great goaltender, but we've got to find a way to get 55 great games out of him instead of 40 great ones and 20 average ones.
Yeah, it was funny. He was talking about generational, that tweet generational versus franchise players. And I don't think we'll see a generational goalie ever again, which is sad because Hellebuck just won the MVP.
Right?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
there's a point. Jay Creer in the chat. And this is the biggest situation heading into this game, heading into this series. No Cale Makar would be brutal for Colorado.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
you have been on the horse about it. You talked about the separated shoulder. Game 5 was bad. He exited game 1 on the Hartman hit. I think it was the Hartman hit. Yeah, game 5 was a reverse hit on Zuccarello. Game 1 was the Hartman hit in the corner. And then going back, March 30th versus Calgary, he takes one in the shoulder. I don't know if you've seen that video, but that was the original situation. So it's not getting better. And if he can't get right now, you're on the more doubtful than probable side of things tonight?
Well, my understanding is that he's not playing tonight. And he's dealing with a shoulder injury. I don't know the severity of it, but I think if you're a smart enough person to see how they've handled this situation since the series ended, he hasn't skated. So to expect him to be ready for game 1, and he wasn't on the ice yesterday. I know they're not trying to reveal too much about it, but my understanding yesterday with the conversation I had with somebody is that he is not playing today.
I think it's shoulder. It's not like collarbone.
I mean, watch the video. You could probably.
I know, but like you could do that. I don't know. You could do that with a.
Yeah, my understanding is that it's a shoulder, and
so talk me through that situation. You said they can medicate it, whatever the term is, like pre-game, but it probably wears off throughout the game. And the longer the series is, you're probably going through quite a bit of pain and becomes pain tolerant.
Yeah, he won't. If he finds a way to play at some point in this series, and maybe he comes back to play at some point in this playoffs, he will not be anywhere close to 100%. If he's going to find a way to grind this out, it's probably going to have to be through different levels of medication and pure warrior mode. Because even if he tries to play through it, if he's at 50%, if he's at 60%, 70%, he's going to get banged. And you can clearly see that even watching him in the last game that he played, he's hesitant to shoot the puck. And look, Cale Makar, I would still rather have him out there skating because he can make a difference with his skating and passing the puck.
But they got Sam Malinsky back, which is big.
Yeah.
So they do have some bodies, and they're still deep.
Yep.
So
interesting.
to see.
I would be very surprised if he played tonight. based on information I received yesterday.
That's why I got Devon Taves for point at even money. His over 1.5 shots on goal, plus 135 at Bet99, over 1.5 blocks, plus 145. But you go back to game 1 versus Minnesota, where he played almost 30 minutes when Cale Makar exited that game. And I think he still finished with 3 points in that game and played just a handful of minutes. Didn't really shoot the puck that much. Be interesting to see if Taves is the guy on power play 1. But we've seen Sam Malinsky run the power play 1 with Devon Taves at power play 2 as well. So interesting to see that situation. And everybody there in the chat talking about it. I hit that this morning as well. Theodore, head-to-head, points versus Cale Makar, plus 300. You can get that at Bet99 as well. Interesting to see. And if you're in that position, you need Cale Makar maybe to miss 2 games. Right? Yeah, Makar had 0 points after game 1. Good point out for Jonathan Davis in the chat. And it's just, it affects everything down the line for that Colorado team when you lose someone playing 26 minutes and is arguably the best defenseman in hockey. Those are things you can't replace in the aggregate. So how much of the advantage now swings to Vegas? Not the full swing, but like how much of a heads up for Vegas is that Cale Makar could be out here and potentially longer in the series?
Well, I think there's some people that still believe that Colorado can win this without Makar. And look, it can absolutely happen, but it hurts their chances for sure.
Like that Chushkin hasn't shown up.
That's significant.
Right? It's a team that has depth, right? I think the third line right now that Arturi Lekkonen's back, and that's big, is Val Nichushkin, Nazem Kadri, and Ross Colton. Now, that looks good on paper, maybe, but if they don't do anything, that might not be better than the Thomas Hertl third line. The Parker Kelly situation that I have down there, little tasty thing, because we do have the point for the fourth line. Where do you got it, Josh? So Drury, anytime goal, he scored in 2 straight games. And the assist I need on that, obviously, is Parker Kelly. So little fourth line action. That fourth line looks great. The goal, which I think is plus 850, then the assist, which is big, 0.2 units there. And we've seen Colorado in the first 2 series, more so in LA and more so in game 1 versus Minnesota, that fourth line, those fourth line players playing the most of the series. 13 to 14 minutes. And as series goes on, Carlo, you know that bench gets a little shorter. Want to talk about benches getting shorter. If Montreal doesn't win that game in overtime early, they're dead in the water late in that game.
I think the saving grace for Montreal was the fact that they got that to overtime. Because
just to get a reset?
Just to get a reset, recharge the batteries, because it just looked like with Buffalo's push in that third period, they were out of gas. And they came out a different team in overtime. It's almost like they were, and I think Nick Suzuki talked about it, where he suggested that their mindset was trying to preserve a lead in the third period. So they're just sitting back. You can
easily see that. The 2-goal lead, right? The most dangerous lead in hockey.
Yeah, and it drained them. It just drained them defending Buffalo. And then when
they couldn't switch away from it. They couldn't turn their transition game on.
They were just trying to survive. And it just feels like that overtime was allowing them to mentally reset. And it's like, okay, well, we can't sit back anymore. We've got to go score to win. And they found a way.
The old Newfie comes through again.
Yeah.
Eichel Dorfev for a point in the chat, but this is going to be a closer series than you think. We're talking about it yesterday. Like, throw out the head-to-head so much. Yes, take it with a grain of salt. Eichel had the game winner in a 3-2 overtime win. They played back just after Christmas. That was a game Eichel wasn't there. I believe it was 5-5 after regulation, went to shootout. Well, we'll see. This is a 2-line, a very 2-strong line Vegas team that has a different look with Carlson in than a slower Mark Stone. Right? Like, Mark Stone's great, and you'd want him back in this series, but I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. But I think we don't give William Karlsson enough credit for his playoff style of hockey.
For sure.
That has earned him a cup.
For sure.
And that line with Marner looks good. And old Uncle Josh needs that Marner Conn Smythe to come through. Why not? And how I've protected it on the other side, this is it. All right, this is my tinfoil hat theory. I don't know if you know much about the cup handoff odds and the market. So, like, it's written as the first non-captain to hoist the cup. And the word hoist is in there, so there could be some hoist discrepancy.
Oh, give me a break. Well, he gets it and he just
doesn't lift it. He hands it over to Ray Bork and gives it to Ray Bork.
No, everybody's hoisting it.
All right. I don't believe, now correct me if I'm wrong in the chat before I spit misinformation here. With Mark Stone out, I don't believe Vegas runs a captain.
I don't think they do, no.
So if Vegas wins the cup and Mark Stone is not on the ice and Gary Bettman gives that cup to Jack Eichel and he lifts it, he hoists it first, that's the winner, right?
Yeah, I think it is.
Jack Eichel 100-1. Let's go. That's how I'm protecting my Mitch Marner position. Jack Eichel to hoist the cup.
Jack Eichel, eh?
That's it. That's how I'm protecting my Mitch Marner position. That's it. But Andy was here talking about Nathan McKinnon hoisting with that market move significantly yesterday, whether it's deserved or not. Everybody just thinks that it's just going to go to Brent Burns.
I mean, it seems like a good choice.
For sure, but a lot of this time it's going to the Conn Smythe guy.
I think every situation has its own explanation.
Yeah. And second time cup in whatever 5 years also makes it be like now we've known. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
Colorado. Yeah. I mean, if they win it, I mean, McKinnon's hoisted it already. Landeskog has it. He's probably going to find Brent Burns. Like, Burnsy, come get it.
Yeah. But he's a betting favorite for a reason. All right. Give me 3 predictions today on a game that is impossible to predict, I think.
Me? You're asking me?
Yeah. Cale Makar out, right?
Yeah.
1.
Sam Malinsky, top PP.
Ooh.
And Mitch Marner doesn't record a point.
Oh. Yeah, the Mitch Marner hype train's a little loud. I get it.
Yeah.
Kelsa says no, because they will have the captain walk out to the ice and accept.
Oh, he'll find a way to get on that ice if they win.
But we were talking with Andy yesterday, talking about like Kyle Okposo was the betting favorite to win it, and he wasn't even dressing. Right? You remember that run 2 years ago?
No, he wasn't dressing, but I mean, he put his equipment on it and hoisted it. Did he not?
Yeah, but I don't think he's the first guy that, like, non-shoulder pads. Here you go. Give it to a guy with his boots on.
No, he dressed in his hockey equipment. Guys do that.
I know, but I don't think he was the first guy.
I think he was. Okposo, I think, was the handoff last year, was it not?
It was 2 years ago, wasn't it, that one?
No, it was last year.
Bobrovsky was last year, I believe.
Hang on.
No, Bobrovsky was probably the year that I bet him for Conn Smythe. Hologram Stone. We'll put our lead researcher on it.
Handed the cup to Nate Schmidt.
All right, Nate Schmidt was it? Yes. Yes, Okposo was 2 years ago. That was the one we were trying to, yeah, but he wasn't dressing. Anderson would get the handoff if Canes win. Yeah?
Why would Anderson get it?
Because he's old. I think that's the handicap these days with it. Who's played the most and hasn't won anything?
So the first year that they won it, it was
Smith? No.
It was Barkov to Bobrovsky to Okposo.
Yes. Right? So like that idea of getting to Okposo means something, but there might be a transition. You never know. Like some guy might just jump in front of the line and cut the line and take it. Old. Yes, that's the handicap.
Eh,
9 out of 10 times the cup goes from the captain to the assistant. No, not always.
not always.
I know, but it is an interesting market. But the man who project Vegas versus Montreal is 8 wins away from looking like the smartest guy in the hockey world, and that's Carlo Colaiacovo. So we're proud of you, bud. Good run so far. I'll give you your flowers for your love for Vegas, even though people were crapping on him, crapping on the division. And Montreal deserves everything that they have, but they're going to have to earn it versus Carolina. But that will come down tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow, talk about game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Plays are in for Wednesday night. Let's do it. Puck Props presented by Bet99. Hit that like button, you greasy gargoyles on the way out. Josh Ingles, Carlo Colaiacovo. Oh, is there a pickoff show today? We're just getting our picks in. We're doing vertical videos right now. We'll send them in. Everything should be done by the 3 o'clock game. More home runs from the fellows. I don't want to eat pickles this week. If I lose, Carlo, this week, if I lose, I got to kick a blindfolded field goal from 10, 20, and 30 yards.
A blind field goal?
A blindfolded field goal.
That seems easy.
That's what I thought. Everyone's like, you're dumb. I'm like, 10 yards, easy. Just
kick it straight.
Kick it straight. That's, yeah, easy. All right, brother. Appreciate it. Lead us out, pal.
Okay, see you tomorrow. Ciao, everyone.
Scatman. Yo,